He sat in a prison cell wearing an orange jumpsuit, and Hollywood had already written his obituary.
One of the most gifted actors of his generation reduced to a number in a California state facility.
And the most insane part? That rock bottom is exactly what saved his life.
Robert Downey Jr. was born on April 4, 1965, in Manhattan, New York.
His father, Robert Downey Sr., was a filmmaker, unconventional, chaotic, and deeply influential on his son.
The household Robert grew up in was not normal by any definition of the word.
Films were being shot in the living room, actors came and went like furniture.
Boundaries didn't exist, structure didn't exist, rules were optional.
At 6 years old, Robert Jr. was given marijuana by his own father.
His dad later called it a bonding ritual. The world called it the beginning of a lifelong battle.
Robert Sr. admitted in interviews that he deeply regretted that decision.
But the damage had already started its slow, invisible work.
By the time he was a teenager, Robert already had a drug problem most adults never survive.
He wasn't rebelling, he was following the only blueprint he had ever been given.
But the kid could act. That part was never in question.
He made his film debut at age 5 in his father's movie Pound, playing a puppy.
By his early teens, he was appearing in school plays and showing a natural magnetism that directors noticed immediately.
He dropped out of high school at 17 to pursue acting full-time in New York City.
He landed a spot on Saturday Night Live in 1985, and then quietly got fired.
But Hollywood noticed him anyway.
In 1987, he earned a Golden Globe nomination for his supporting role in Less Than Zero, playing a drug addict.
He wasn't acting, he was living it.
Co-stars later said the performance was uncomfortably real, because it was.
The irony was impossible to ignore, a man performing his own destruction for applause.
Through the late 1980s and early 1990s, his career climbed steadily.
Air America, Soap Dish, Natural-Born Killers, his name carried real weight in Hollywood.
He was the guy directors called when they needed raw, unpredictable, dangerous energy on screen.
Then came Chaplin in 1992, a career-defining performance that earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor.
He learned to play violin. He studied Chaplin's walk, his gestures, his silences, for months.
Critics called it one of the most committed performances of that decade.
He was 27 years old and looked like a future legend.
But the addiction never stopped. It accelerated.
Success didn't slow it down. If anything, money and fame poured fuel on it.
In 1996, he was arrested for possession of heroin, cocaine, and an unloaded .357 Magnum pistol.
He was pulled over on Sunset Boulevard. The car reeked. The charges were serious.
A judge gave him a chance, probation, and mandatory drug testing.
He violated it almost immediately.
In 1996, he wandered, disoriented and barefoot, into a neighbor's home in Malibu and passed out in their bed.
The neighbor called the police. The police called the press. The press destroyed him.
In 1997, he was placed under a court-supervised drug program.
He failed drug test after drug test. The court had seen enough.
In 1999, he was sentenced to 3 years in the California Substance Abuse Treatment and State Prison at Corcoran.
He served 1 year before being released on parole.
1 year in a state prison for a man who had once been Oscar-nominated.
The fall was not gradual, it was vertical.
Prison changed something in him, though it would take years before anyone could see it.
He described the experience in later interviews as a necessary collision with reality.
Upon release, the industry treated him like a liability wrapped in talent.
No insurance company would cover him on a film set. No studio wanted the risk.
Think about what that actually means. A man blacklisted not for lack of ability, but for self-destruction.
He showed up to the set of Ally McBeal in 2000 and delivered some of the most praised performances of the show's run.
He won a Screen Actors Guild Award as part of the ensemble cast.
People whispered that maybe he was turning a corner.
Then he was fired after another arrest, this time found in a Palm Springs hotel with drugs and a broken-down door.
The mugshots became a recurring news segment.
Late-night hosts made jokes. Tabloids ran photo spreads.
His personal life collapsed alongside his career.
His first marriage to actress Deborah Falconer fell apart after years of chaos and broken promises.
She had waited, she had tried, she finally stopped.
She filed for divorce in 2001, citing irreconcilable differences, which was the polite version of the truth.
He entered 2001 as a punchline, a cautionary tale that people referenced at award shows.
And then, something shifted.
Not overnight, not dramatically, slowly, painfully, quietly.
In 2003, he checked himself into a rehabilitation program that finally stuck.
He later said that he simply got tired tired of the chaos, the arrests, the face he saw in mirrors.
He later credited Wing Chun Kung Fu, meditation, and a spiritual reckoning as part of his recovery.
The discipline of martial arts gave him a physical framework when his mind was still fragile.
He also credited Susan Levin, a producer he met on the set of Gothica in 2003.
She didn't run, she stayed.
They married in 2005, and she became one of the most consistent anchors in his life.
But the industry still didn't trust him.
He was clean, he was functioning, and nobody in Hollywood cared.
Getting insured for a major film production was nearly impossible with his record.
The phone wasn't ringing, the doors weren't opening.
Mel Gibson, a longtime friend, personally guaranteed his insurance to get him cast in The Singing Detective in 2003.
That single act of loyalty may have been the crack in the door.
Small roles followed, television appearances, a slow, grinding rebuild.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in 2005 reminded Hollywood what this man was capable of when he was present.
Critics raved, audiences leaned forward, the industry quietly started paying attention again.
And then came 2008.
Marvel Studios was a relatively young studio, betting everything on a second-tier superhero.
Iron Man was not considered a guaranteed hit. It was a calculated risk by a studio with something to prove.
Most A-list actors passed on it or weren't considered.
Robert Downey Jr. was not the obvious choice. He was the controversial one.
Director Jon Favreau fought hard to cast him, convinced that Tony Stark's arrogance, charm, and fall from grace required someone who had actually lived that arc.
Marvel executives hesitated. The insurance issue resurfaced. The past came back to the table.
Favreau held firm. He staked his own credibility on the casting.
He wasn't playing Tony Stark. He was being Tony Stark.
A genius, a man of enormous talent, drowning in ego and poor choices, a person who had to lose everything to find out who he really was.
Iron Man opened on May 2, 2008. It earned $585 million worldwide. It launched the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And Robert Downey Jr. was reborn in front of 50 million people.
What followed was one of the most extraordinary career resurrections in entertainment history.
Iron Man 2, The Avengers, Iron Man 3, Avengers Age of Ultron, Captain America Civil War.
Each film bigger than the last, each paycheck larger than anything he had ever seen.
He wasn't just a cast member, he was the gravitational center of an entire cinematic universe.
By 2013, he was the highest-paid actor in Hollywood, earning an estimated $75 million in a single year.
The man insurance companies refused to cover was now the financial backbone of the highest-grossing franchise in cinema history.
The same hands that once fumbled for car keys on Sunset Boulevard were now signing contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Avengers Endgame in 2019 became one of the highest-grossing films of all time, earning over $2.79 billion worldwide.
His final line as Tony Stark, quietly defiant, perfectly delivered, became a cultural moment that audiences are still talking about.
The same man who was found unconscious in a stranger's bed, the same man in the orange jumpsuit.
He delivered the most iconic farewell in superhero cinema history.
But here's what makes the story even more remarkable.
He didn't just survive, he didn't just recover, he redefined what a second act could look like.
Robert Downey Jr. proved that your worst chapter does not have to be your final chapter.
He proved that industries built on perception can be forced to change their perception if you give them no choice.
Every arrest, every mugshot, every courtroom, every prison corridor.
All of it was fuel for the man he was becoming.
In 2024, he was announced as the next major villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, returning to the franchise that rebuilt him, this time as Dr. Doom.
The man they buried is now playing the most powerful villain in the franchise.
The story didn't end with redemption. The story kept going.
Because that's what real comebacks look like. They don't stop, they compound.
Robert Downey Jr. didn't just come back from the bottom. He made the bottom irrelevant.